Hi team. So week 3, there's a lot going on here. And so I want to check in with you about how to think about how these things are divided, what I'm expecting of you. So you've done the prep work, you've done the reading and the interactive lesson. I think folks are fairly comfortable with the illustrations, the sketchbook illustrations. So I'm happy to answer questions about that. I'm happy to give you feedback, but I'm going to move on. And I want to highlight two things here. First, I want to remind you that due dates in my class, they're there to keep you on track. And so I'm going to bug you about not turning stuff in on time, but I don't take points off if it's late. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and you need an extra day, take that extra day, all right? And in thinking about that, week 4 down here is lighter. Like there's a little, at least there's less, your sketchbook and your planning are the same next week. So it may be a little lighter, and so you may be able to kind of sneak into that week. But back to this week. So this week you have 2 planning assignments. Planning assignment 1 is designing with text. And so in planning assignment 1, I want you to think about different ways to play with text. So we're thinking of text as an element. And so I've got a whole thing, read, watch, designing with text. And I do want you to read, watch that. But part of it's reading, part of it's video. But I also then want to clarify for you that you are submitting for planning assignment 1, you're submitting 5 separate things. Okay, so the other assignment walked you through kind of the how, gave you some examples and stuff. But now I want you looking in the specific assignment requirements, I want you looking at these 5 things. So number 1, fill a page. I literally want you to fill the entire page. So here in my example, you see how the text goes from edge to edge, right? It's not just written in there, but the text gets larger to take up all of that space. It goes from side to side, it goes from top to bottom. It's not just in the page, but it's filling that space. The ERA one does something similar, right? It fills that entire space. Okay, so this first one, you're going to take all your text and you're just going to fill the space. Here's what I'm looking for in this fill the space one. I am really focused on, can you avoid squeezing the letters in? Can you take up that whole space without the letters starting big and getting small, or starting small and getting big to fill in that space? Can you fit all of your words top to bottom without having one of them really big? Actually, that's fine if one of them is really big, but I want you to plan the lettering ahead of time. And I don't want you to just handwrite it. I want you to plan it ahead of time. So I want you to use a ruler. I want you to lay out where the text is going to be to keep things straight and even, right? Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, fill an unusual shape. So it doesn't have to be super unusual, just not a rectangle, right? So it can be a circle, it can be a flower, it can be a person, but it can be a rocket ship space. What I want you to do here is I want you to so go ahead and draw that shape, whatever that not rectangular shape is, draw it in with pencil. And then I want you to use whatever word that you're using, I want you to fill it completely. So I don't want you to draw a circle and write circle across it. I want you to stretch out the letters so that they get tall when they get to the middle and they get shorter when they get to the outsides. If you're doing, a shape that gets larger on one side than the other, make sure that those letters fill in that space. Organic shapes are probably a little bit more difficult because you have to have, like if you did an amoeba, which is a wiggly shape, you would have the A come around and then the M would maybe come around this way. And the idea is that I then want you to erase the outline because I want the shape to be shown with the letters. Now, see how ERA, the green one here, same letters each time, but this one here, the green is a rectangle. This one, I'm sorry, the white, the letters are a rectangle. The green is the shape, but the letters are themselves a rectangle. Over here, the letters stretch. And so even if we took away the blue, we'd be able to see the shape because of those letters. The letters change size to fit into that space. And they may go small to big, or they may go big to small, depending on what your shape is. That's number 2. So, full page with things measured out. Fit a shape can be just one word. Fit that shape, make sure the letters fit the shape. Next one, experimental fonts. This one, I want you to play around with some different fonts. Really specifically, I'm looking for size changes, thickness changes, and stuff like that. This one doesn't have a lot of size changes, but you do see lots of different fonts. And what I'm looking for is you play with thickness difference. So maybe the long part of the letter is thin and the wide part, or the top part, is wide. Maybe it's more of a cursive writing and it gets thick and thin as it moves across. I want you to play with that. This person had a lot of letters. You don't have to use quite this long of text, but you can see this is a great example of lots of different varieties of fonts that they've used. So that's 3, playing around with fonts. Number 4, a word whose font or shape communicates meaning. So this is, again, just one word, and it's got to be a word that means something. So the won't work. Awful is a word that really gives us a sense of, like, we feel, oh, this is awful. And this particular, Jordy's done a great job here of creating an awful, disgusting, creepy, font, right? The words themselves communicate the meaning. Other examples. Up. You could have some features in the word up that give us a sense of going up. Rainbow, right? You could use color to communicate the meaning of the word rainbow. So hopefully you're not going to use my examples. Hopefully you're going to try something more. But I'm happy to talk with you if you've got questions about that. So one word, number 4, one word, shape or font communicates the meaning of the word. And finally, this one, notice how sketchy this is. And I've got 3 examples here. You only need 1. I'm just showing you kind of the way I think through it. You're welcome to do 3. It's fine. So here you're going to take your image. What's your image? Well, you don't know until you read the next planning assignment. But you're going to take your image and you're going to plan the text around it. So this one I'd say is not a great example because the image is floating in the middle and the text is just kind of around it. Both of these, you can see how the text has been adjusted to fit the space. So the I don't know stays in the computer. Here the answers starts to be the shape of the chair. Here me gets really big to fit in that space, whereas the in the space next to the chair, whereas the other text is smaller to fit in the space of the chair. So if your example is a landscape, maybe you fit into the sky. If your example, you fit your text into the sky. If your example is a person, maybe you fit in the space next to the person. I don't want you putting the text just on the person and leaving the space around them blank. I want you thinking about how to have the image still is a focus, as an emphasis, and the text is in the spaces around or interacting with that person. One other thing with this one, you could absolutely put the image way over to the side and have the text fill, so there's a balance of the images on one side and the text is on the other. That would be completely appropriate. So that is your text planning assignment. 5 pieces there. Sketchy here, a little bit more careful on some of the other ones here. And I'm concerned about measurement and filling the space. Now let's go back and peek. So this is planning assignment 1. Planning assignment 2 this week is a transfer grid. So we're not talking about text right now. And planning assignment 2 goes directly onto your illustration board. This requires you to pick an image and have already planned the spacing. When did you plan the spacing? Just what we just talked about, right? That 5th part of the planning assignment for planning assignment 1. And so you've thought about what kind of fonts you could use, you've thought about ways to have the image be expressive, and then you've planned the space. Now, your image needs to have a couple of things. It needs to be a tonal image, meaning we have a range or a variety of tones. Photographs are great. Silhouettes, boo, not so great. Line drawings, no, not helpful. You need a range of tones in the original. I recommend a photograph. If you want to use an artwork, that may be okay as long as the artwork has a range of tones. It's got to have 5 at least tones, shading, dark and light, those sorts of things. Because you are going to recreate that image you're gonna take the image, you're gonna blow it up using this technique, and you're gonna put it on your illustration board, and you're gonna put it where it goes with the text. So you can put your image straight in the middle and fit the text around it. You can put your image way over on the side, put your text on the other side of it, whatever you've planned in planning assignment 1. All right, and obviously you have to peek at planning assignment 2 to understand the last part of planning assignment 1. They integrate. So for this one, I've got videos I think below, but you're going to choose your image, tonal image. I'm happy to check them ahead of time if you want me to. You're going to make sure that the image kind of works with your text. So, if you're writing a PSA about cats, use a cat, etc. Obviously mine wasn't exactly, it was about the school year, and so there was a computer. The cat's just there for fun. So you can have some fun with it, but it should in some way interact with what you're doing. You're going to create a grid on the image or on the computer for the image, a small grid. This one is 6 by 5, and then you're going to later create a large grid on your illustration board. So you're going to draw a grid again. There's video and explanation of this. I think that part is relatively straightforward. It's just the integration of how these go together. And then in my last moment here of before my video recorder runs out, I also recommend you take a peek ahead at what your classmates have done, or your previous classmates, students in this class previously. So you've got you've got some extra examples. You've got my example here. So I've integrated, notice that my planning for fonts that have a variety of thicknesses or meanings and things like that. I also have adjusted the sizing of the letters like I practiced in my planning assignment sketch number 1, and I've integrated my image with my text. Notice that my image has a range of tones just in the image part, just in the cat basically. And then the rest is, I guess there's a range of tones here, but this is the one that was recreated range of tones. So that's what I'm looking for. Let's look at some classmates. This student has really expressive text. It tells us what it's about. This looks like an eat sign, right? He's got a range of tones in the image, and has this photograph from a diner, or, the table. Here, our student has done a great job of fitting the text in around, and we've got text here that communicates, the meaning a little bit. The fire of liberty shows up in the text. The font looks like fire. We've also got a range of tones in the statue, recreated from a photograph of the statue. Here, the assignment was a little bit different, so she was working, there was a little bit less requirement on the image to be from somewhere, but we still see a range of tones in the background. We see a little bit of range of tones on the moon. Text fits very well into the space. It's bent, it's changed, and we have things that look like moon or give us those sorts of suggestions. Really different assignment here. In fall, so not quite the same assignment, but you see a nice range of tones in the image. Here we've got a range of tones in our image and how nicely the text works around it. We've also got things like this clock, which makes us all feel panicked about the deadline, these alarm bells, right? And scary text here. So nice variety of text wrapped around the image. Here we've got text that works with the image. Not quite as much range of tone here, but look at the color. The text color communicates color, right? The smile looks like a smile, right? Here, this is why I was talking about that up letter, right? The sense of moving up. This one, they've used the mask, the text in the mask to do the communication, and then we have a range of tones in the background. Here the text gets a little harder to read, but what neat integration here, right, in the trees and stuff like that. And then we have some range of tone in the moon. Maybe I'd push for a little bit more there. All right, so there's a lot going on this week. You can stretch it if you need to. You can stretch it into next week if you need to. Next week is a little shorter. I'm here for questions. So if all my yakking here didn't help you and you're still saying, what's going on? Let me know. If you submit stuff and you lose points, submit it again. If it's past the deadline and you lose points, submit it again. No, you're not going to lose points for turning it in late. So I'm happy to get resubmissions after the deadline. I'm also happy to give you feedback via video or meeting if the text feedback isn't enough. All right. Good luck.